From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Coming up, AgDay brings you coverage from this year's National FFA Convention, from its history makers.
It's amazing to know that a piece of clothing that I wore is with a piece of clothing he wore.
To its future leaders.
I'm very excited. I'm very glad to be here.
We have the latest as a sea of blue jackets descend on Indianapolis. Plus, farmers continue to battle Mother Nature between snow in the Midwest and fires in California.
Coverage of the FFA Convention is brought to you by Culver's and Dry Shod Waterproof Footwear.
Welcome to AgDay. I'm Clinton Griffiths.
And I'm Betsy Gibbon.
And we're coming to you from the 92nd Annual National FFA Convention and Expo right here in downtown Indianapolis.
And Clinton, is so exciting to be here with so many young, great people from all across the country. Blue and gold jackets flood the Indiana Convention Center this week as between 65 and 70,000 FFA members make their way to convention. From competing in competitions to educational events and multiple award presentations. This is the place for the nation's agricultural youth.
One of my favorite parts about convention is just getting to see the people that I've made friends with across the nation. I'm so excited to reunite with those friends.
I guess the ceremony. Sometimes it's a good speech and it really gets to me from the heart.
Clinton, the organization is not slowing down. In fact, National FFA membership surpassed the 700,000 mark for the first time this year.
Just incredible. So many great memories for myself as a member of the Deming FFA chapter in southern New Mexico. And you'll be back a little later in the show to share a very inspirational story about an FFA member that's now living in Wisconsin.
Yes.
Can't wait to hear that. All right, let's get straight to the news. There's a big winter storm making its way across the Midwest, and farmers are racing to harvest what they can. People in Wisconsin getting their first taste of wintry weather with a fresh blanket of snow on the ground. The National Weather Service saying Nina got about 4 inches of snow early Tuesday morning. Green Bay saw a little less than that. But before that, the storm moved through Iowa. Brent Lowry of Searsboro, east of Des Moines, Iowa, sharing this video as he tried to harvest beans in the snow.
Last night, for the first time, we got snowed out harvesting beans. It started out just snowing a little bit and didn't really bother us, and then when it started snowing, it really took off snowing, and we were able to cut for just a little bit in it, and then we quit. But it was interesting to see cutting beans at 5 miles an hour in the snow. That's definitely a first and hopefully a last. Probably going to be one of the later harvests we've ever had, but progress is good. Most of the beans are out in the area. We're not quite done with beans, but we got most of them done, and I would say the general area, most of the beans are done. There's very little corn done in the area.
We've got our beans done, and so with the weather that's come back to kick us in the butt again, it's good to have that done. We're a little over a third of the way through field corn harvest, and very happy with our yields. We got 4 inches of snow last night, so we're waiting for it to melt off, and once it gets melted off and the ground firms, we'll hit it again.
Greason says harvest for him is running about 10 days behind and could lag longer if there are more weather issues. Now, so far, he says he's happy with the yields he's seeing. Meteorologist Cindy Clausen joining us now. And Cindy, you've got your eyes on another developing weather system that's bringing us even more snow.
Yeah, that's right, Clinton. We keep seeing the snow coming, but 'tis the season, right? Now, we've already had a bunch of snow yesterday. When we add on the next 24 hours, what we're going to be seeing is more of it. So watch what happens. We've already had a fair amount over in parts of Iowa, northeast Missouri, and yes, even into Illinois, but we're going to add more to it as that whole low pressure system moves off to the northeast. So that's the existing system, but notice that we were starting to get even more snow in parts of the northern plains. So North Dakota into Montana, and you see that's starting to sweep across the upper Midwest as well. Not quite as heavy as what we're expecting here in parts of the Corn Belt and in the Great Lakes, but yet another storm system. But as I mentioned, 'tis the season. But add to that some blustery winds, and it's going to feel awfully chilly out there. Those winds gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour as we head through the day today in a lot of the Corn Belt. And then as we head through the overnight hours, a lot of those winds follow that low pressure system to the east, but we start to see those winds picking up a little bit in the plains with that secondary system for tomorrow. I'll have more in your forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Clinton?
And more problems in California as fire danger warnings blanket much of the state due to gusty winds and dry air. A large new wildfire erupted in Southern California as strong Santa Ana winds blow through the region. In Northern California, where the so-called Kincaid fire is burning, winds are beginning to decline, but forecasters warn that fire danger remains. The fire's 30% contained. We're told the flames destroyed or damaged wineries, barns, and other structures in Sonoma County. A 107-year-old cattle ranch lost nearly all of its buildings. Reports indicate between 10 and 20% of the region's wine grapes remain on the vines. The County Farm Bureau has helped relocate evacuated farm animals and have organized a hay drive. The Chilean president says ongoing protests have led him to call off 2 major international summits his country was scheduled to host. That includes the Asian Pacific Summit that was set to begin November 16th. It was at that summit that President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping were scheduled to sign a Phase 1 trade agreement. Chinese officials continue to say the two sides are holding working-level discussions about the possible deal. Reuters is reporting China's balking at committing to large buys of U.S. farm products. It quotes an official from Chinese state-owned company as saying the country, quote, does not want to buy a lot of products that people here don't need or to buy something at a time when it's not in demand. As for the new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer met again Wednesday with House Democrats. Farm Journal Washington correspondent Jim Wiesmeyer reporting a compromise is near. He said House Ways and Means Chairman Richard Neal said after a working group meeting that a compromise was, quote, really close and could ultimately come down to a handful of outstanding labor issues. The number of people blaming glyphosate-based weed killers for their cancer continues to rise. Reuters reporting the company Bayer is now facing 42,700 U.S. plaintiffs. That's more than twice the number from July. Now, if Bayer settles the lawsuits, analysts estimate the settlement would be between $8 and $12 billion. But Bayer's chief executive said, quote, the number of lawsuits, the first and foremost, doesn't tell us anything about their merits, end quote. The company saying it is still involved in a mediation process that was ordered by a federal judge. Still ahead, we talk to some of these future leaders here in Indianapolis. And later, a groundbreaker for the organization, who's now a permanent part of its lasting legacy in our nation's capital.
AgDay, presented by the Chevy Silverado and the all-new Silverado HD, the strongest, most advanced family of Silverados ever.
Well, we're here on the floor of the Expo, and I'm with Elizabeth Brooks. She is a proficiency finalist in ag education and from Missouri. Thanks for joining us on Ag Day. Tell us about what you're competing in this week.
So I am one of 4 proficiency finalists in the ag education division, and so I'm here interviewing tomorrow as a finalist to see if I will be selected as the national champion for my proficiency.
Awesome. Well, and you really have a passion for ag ed. How did that start and why?
So when I was a younger member, I saw a lot of the older members doing some of the ag education components that I have in my SAE, like teaching 3rd graders about agriculture, doing some barnyards during FFA week, things like that. And I really just wanted to get involved, and I wanted to be part of that group that got to teach others around me, whether they were young or older, about agriculture and spark that enthusiasm in them. And so I took it upon myself to start some new programs of my own, and I really dove into my SAE program, and that led to my passion for ag education. So I'm now studying Ag Ed teacher certification at the University of Missouri.
Do you think we can educate enough people about agriculture? That seems to be something as a society we're getting so far removed from the farm.
I think that we definitely can, and that starts at a younger age. Talking to those younger kids, like in elementary school, about ag and making it really fun for them is like the perfect way to just get them excited about it and help them remember it in a fun way. That way they can either grow up to become agriculturalists in our industry or just great consumers that are supportive of our industry. And so we definitely can.
All right, well, I love you. Wish you the best of luck. Thank you for stopping by. And we'll continue our show from the National FFA Convention and Expo here in Indianapolis coming up. But first, we'll have a quick check of weather.
Hey y'all, Justin Moore here. Get ready to kick up some dust with the Roxor Dirt Roads and a Country Show sweepstakes. Enter now for a chance to win a customized off-road Roxor and 2 VIP tickets to one of my upcoming concerts. Visit roxoroffroad.com/Justin Moore.
Meteorologist Cindy Clausen joining us again. And Cindy, the cold weather also an issue right now.
Yeah, that's right, Clinton. The cold air is still hanging around. Check out this trough that we are seeing right here in the heart of the country, and that's going to be slowly moving on off to the east, but getting reinforced. So we're going to see a very cold weekend, especially for the Great Lakes, the north central and the northeastern United States. Pretty strong low pressure system over Canada as we get into Sunday. Now watch what happens as we get into the early part of the week. Another trough for the Great Lakes. The warmth still sticking around in the west and especially southwest and along the southern tier states. But boy, are we looking for some chilly weather closer to the border. All right, here's a look at temperatures for today. A lot of cool temperatures in the 30s and 40s for highs in the north central and even getting into the northwest. The warm temperatures hanging out in the southeastern United States and a little bit into the southwest. Now, as we go into the overnight hours, we see those temperatures dipping down into the 20s and 30s. We've seen worse, so this is at least a little bit of an improvement, but still on the chilly side. And then as we head through our forecast for tomorrow, still a lot of 30s and 40s across the northern tier of states, even 50s even down to the Gulf Coast. So that's a bit on the chilly side for this time of the year. As far as the fronts are going, here's that first system, and we're seeing that snow on the backside with that cold air. That low is going to continue to pull away and on off into the northeastern states, but we're going to see that snow still wrapping around the backside. Of course, the Great Lakes helping out with that. Here's that second system. That's going to be coming into the northern plains and into the upper Midwest. So look for some snow in those areas while the rain and then the snow moves off into the northeast. High pressure dominates in the south central and southwestern United States, so look for some drier weather there. Heading through the day on Friday, everything pulls off to the east, but we see that secondary system now bringing some rain and some snow into parts of the Great Lakes region. Now, as far as the past 24 hours, a lot of it's been rain and a lot of it has been in the southeastern quarter of the country. And when you add on the next 24 hours, that all just moves up to the northeast with that strong low pressure system moving out that way. And the precipitation, the moisture is not quite as much as you get into the northern plains. And as far as snowfall, we're going to continue that pushing off through the Great Lakes and then on into southeastern Canada while we add a little bit more into parts of the northern plains. Now let's take a quick look and see what that's doing for our root zone moisture. And you can see over the last week, the real big change, the addition of moisture has been right here from the central Gulf states on off into the northeast. Most of the other parts of the country have remained on the dry side. That's a look at your national forecast. Now let's check on the weather where you live. Willows, California, a chilly start, then sunny and warmer today with a high of 73. Cooper, Texas, sunny and chilly with a high of 49 degrees. And Millington, Michigan, breezy with rain and snow with a high of 44 degrees.
Well, we seem to be saying this a lot. More problems for California producers, this time from too much rain in the spring. Experts say the rain will reduce the state's almond and walnut crops and will have ripple effects on world markets. A government report says world almond production will be down 3% this year, and that's mainly due to a smaller California crop, though production will also be down in Europe. However, world walnut production will rise 6% despite a reduced California harvest because better weather in China allowed its production to rise sharply. Still ahead, we'll meet a legend from National FFA. Plus, why the USDA is giving up on getting electronic ID tags on cattle.
Let the proven performance of Prosaro fungicide maximize your grain quality, yield, and profit this season.
Drovers reports America's 4 largest beef packers face another lawsuit claiming antitrust violations. The suit was filed by California-based Pacific Agri-Products. It accuses Cargill, JBS USA, National Beef Packing, and Tyson Foods, among others, of allegedly conspiring to control beef prices since 2015. It claims the defendants publicly signaled their collective intent to reduce slaughter volumes by closing or idling beef plants or by halting expansion plans. It says those actions artificially pushed beef prices higher, lowering supplies. The USDA Animal Plant Health Inspection Service says it's suspending its plan to phase in the use of electronic ID tags for cattle and bison, a government organization saying it was in response to executive orders from President Trump. Now, those orders highlighted the need for transparency and communication of issues before placing any new requirements on American farmers and ranchers. In April, a plan was announced to transition to radio frequency identification tags from metal ear tags. The group set January 1st, 2023 is the date all animals in certain categories would need the RFID tags. Now, one of the loudest voices against it was RCAF USA, which filed a lawsuit over it in federal district court. Despite withdrawing the plan, APHIS said there's still a need for a national animal ID plan. Still ahead, more from this year's National FFA Convention in Indianapolis, and the story of one groundbreaking FFA member whose jacket has its own place in history.
Hey y'all, Justin Moore here. Get ready to kick up some dust with the Roxor Dirt Roads and a Country Show sweepstakes. Enter now for a chance to win a customized off-road Roxor and 2 VIP tickets to one of my upcoming concerts. Visit roxoroffroad.com/Justin Moore.
Closed captioning is brought to you by BASF. Grow smart with BASF. We create chemistry.
FFA is all about preparing its members for leadership roles in the future.
In Clinton, I had an opportunity to meet a woman who was an FFA member and competed at national conventions just like many of those here today. But now she represents the organization in Washington, D.C. in a big way.
There's something to be said about shared passions, specifically for a small town rural family working together on a new project.
So this was her first heifer that she purchased.
For Carlene Krager, it's watching her daughter's growing love for agriculture.
McKinley bought Bella from the gentleman I bought my very first steer from.
We had a picture of her before we clipped her in May and a picture afterwards. There was a major difference.
Part of it is seeing McKinley active in her first year of FFA.
She's actually in egg class right now, and it's kind of funny because they started their FFA session, or their FFA lesson, and all the kids in class were like, "Oh, this is so hard, and she's like, "This is a piece of cake."
The assignment to name famous members of FFA.
I put down Jimmy Carter, Lainey LeBlanc, Amberly Schneider, Emily Cruz.
The name McKinley didn't forget, her mom, Carlene.
When I first got the phone call from the FFA National Organization, I was very shocked, very surprised, and they're like, take a day or two to think about it. And I really had to think about it because I'm like, this is my jacket, you know? I mean, I won with this jacket.
That was in 2014, the day Carlene's FFA jacket was selected and sent to be displayed at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., where it's been ever since. National FFA selected her jacket after she was honored with the American Star Farmer Award in 2002.
And was blessed to be the winner, winning American Star Farmer and being the first female American Star Farmer on top of it yet too.
It started with the drive to be involved in agriculture and FFA, competing at national convention when she was in high school.
I made the parliamentary procedure team on our high school, and we ended up winning the state contest, and I ended up competing as a junior. Then in the following year, in 1998, I traveled again to national convention and was one of the top 4 proficiency finalists in swine production.
These proud moments and the American Star Farmer Award in 2002 led her to be one of the handful of rotating jackets at the Smithsonian, an exclusive group which also includes Jimmy Carter's blue jacket.
It's amazing to know that a piece of clothing that I wore is with a piece of clothing he wore. And to know that, you know, we both grew up in the FFA, and the fact that we've gained our leadership skills the same way through a wonderful organization is just amazing in my opinion.
Sometimes the most influential people may not be the most famous or receive the most praise.
She was Supreme Female at Fond du Lac County Fair, and she was 4th in her class at Expo.
They may be found doing chores with their children, camouflaged in a barn. For Carlene, it's the little things, the work, the moments, and the memories she's passing down to her family along the way.
I asked Carlene her advice to young FFAers, and she said, get involved and be as active as you can.
That's really good advice. All right, thank you, Betsy. And that's going to wrap us up for our coverage from the 92nd Annual National FFA Convention here in Indianapolis. From all of us with AgDay, have a great day out in farm country.
AgDay, Brought to you by the Milk Business Conference. Don't miss this dairy business-focused event November 11th and 12th, 2019 in Las Vegas. Register today at milkbusinessconference.com.